All right. You may clear your desk of everything besides your exam booklet, your answer sheet, and a number 2 pencil. You're about to begin the English section of this test. When I call time, you must hold your exam booklet, put down your number 2 pencil, and you may not go back on this test at any certain time throughout the rest of the exam. And I know we would much rather just take this wonderful number 2 pencil and poke our eyes out than take this test. And this is why it's relevant to you guys here, because we've all taken standardized tests, and I personally do not like them. And I think there's some problems that they have, and that's what I'm here to discuss today. And then these problems also cause effects with such things as like corruption and financial instability. Another problem is there's an alternative to this, and then I think that we should discuss this, and I've always had a strong feeling about this, and this is why I'm so passionate and here to talk about it today. So let's talk about some problems that we have with standardized testing. According to Alex Hemmingblock's blog, What is the ACT? A complete explanation of the test. And she states that there are 215 questions on this test. And it is broken up into 2 hours and 55 minutes. And there's 4 sections of this test. And the first one is English, and it is 35 minutes long. The next one is math. It is 60 minutes long. The next is reading, and it's 40 minutes long. And the next one is science, and it is also 40 minutes long. And the major problem with this is that the average attention span of you guys sitting in here today is about 30 to 45 minutes. So as you can tell, each one of these sections is at or a little over the average attention span. And let's be real here, you don't want to be there to take this test anyway, so your attention span is probably down here. And from the Journal of National Council of Teachers by James Squire, How Tests Shape and Limit Student Learning, he states that teachers know how much this test affects your future, and so they'll try to help you. And they do this by changing their class to more industrialized learning, and that's stuff that's straight towards the test. So they'll go and collect the data of the test and try and give it to you to help you get a better grade. And when they do this, Alex states that they take away about 60 hours of class time that they would have been able to sit there and teach you soft skills. And soft skills are things like curiosity, perseverance, and social ability, like things that you need in the real world that we are taking away to teach for a number on a test. And so now that we've talked about the problems of standardized testing, let's talk about some of the effects that they have. And from a 2019 government document, if you're applying to colleges, you may need to take certain tests. And this is very true because colleges base their acceptance rates off the 2 major tests, and that's the ACT and the SAT. And the differences between these tests is the SAT is 3 hours and 45 minutes long, and it basically just tests your attention span that you've already exceeded and see how long you can sit there and plug away at answers. The other one is the ACT. It is 2 hours and 55 minutes long, and it tests your knowledge. So it's basically like a baseline to see how you compare to other kids in the U.S. And from the Washington Post by Valerie Strauss, it's finally time to get rid of the SAT and ACT admission test. She states that there were 3 parents that had just pled guilty to a college scandal, like the test scandal, and this is where they will pay money for their kids for an imposter to come in and take their kids' test. And this showed that there was anywhere from $50,000 to $150,000 that they would pay these people to take the test for their kids so they could get into their desired dream college. And another effect that this test has is, like, say you don't need somebody to come in and take the test for you, you're just smart, and you got a 34 on the ACT and you're in the top 5% of your class. This will gain you a President's Scholarship at Baylor University. and that is worth $22,000. And in a blog from Haley Edwards, Guaranteed Scholarship Based on SAT and ACT Scores, she states that you have to pay $61,000 to get into Baylor for a full year. And if you have your $22,000 scholarship, you're still paying around $39,000 a year. And so you're more than likely there for a 4-year degree, and if you add that up, that'll be somewhere around $156,000 that you have to pay in student loan debt. And from Lisa Payne's article, 10 Most Common Reasons People Get Divorced, she states that the number one reason is for financial instability. And obviously you're not very financially stable if you have $150,000 of student loan debt that you have to try and pay off. So now that I've talked about the effects that this test have, let's find an alternative. From a newspaper from Star Stein, instead of standardized testing, consider portfolio assessment. And he states that portfolio assessment is basically like things that's more practical to the real world, like writing and processing data and things like student-led councils and things that you actually have to run that would apply in the real world. And this has been implemented into New York for the past 2 decades, and they've got really great results. And excuse me, they have great results, and they can test your learning ever since like elementary school all the way to high school, so they can see how much you improve throughout this with things like writing and math, simple math like addition and things like this, to see how much you progress. And so now, knowing how bad standardized testing is, I hope that you will help me find an alternative. And so today, to wrap things up, I have talked about the problems of standardized testing, what these problems affect, and then how we can find an alternative to better find ways to get college acceptance. Thank you for listening.